Hey guys, let's talk about books. This is my first 5 reads reading wrap-up video for 2024. Some of these books I started reading immediately after Christmas last year. So it has been a while since we have talked about books together. So I'm going to try my best to remember what happened in these early books. I'm going to consult my notes. So if I'm looking over there, it's because that's where all my memories live, in the computer. First up, I have a book that I was gifted last year. It is All Thing Hath Tyme, Tyme and Medieval Life by Gillian, Adler and Paul Strohm. This is non-fiction. The call number, I didn't put a sticker on this one because I liked the dust jacket a lot. So I've written it inside. It is 940.1, which I want to say is history. Medieval history. What a shock. This one explores the way that medieval people, and in particular it takes examples from written sources, so poetry and that sort of thing, the way that medieval people perceived and interpreted time, which is actually more interesting and nuanced than you might think, because even today we have multiple different ways of thinking about time. We have seasons, we have the liturgical calendar. Even if we're not Christian these days, we still have Easter and Christmas as times that we think about of the year. We have the months and the days, obviously. Then we have our secular timekeeping as well, Australia Day and Anzac Day and other days in other countries where you might live. So medieval people in these sources think of time the same way. They have canonical time, which is the canonical hours. So you've got, what do we start with in canonical time? Matins, lauds, I'm reading it now, prime, terce, sext, nonce, vespers, and compline. And people who lived near monasteries would hear those bells all the time ringing, calling the monks to prayer. So that would be a normal part of their daily timekeeping as well. But then you have the seasons. Everybody has to work with the seasons. You have the liturgical time, which, like I said, is Christmas and Easter, but also Pentecost and Advent and Lent, and things that were more prevalent in a highly Christian society. And then you just have the time of day, the day of the week, the month of the year. Also, using stories from the period and narration of stories is also a way of telling time, but demonstrating how time is perceived by the listener, because you have a narrative that unfolds over time, but also the references to time must be understood by the listener. So I enjoyed that explanation of why those sources are chosen, not just because time is referenced, but because the context would have to be inferred by the audience. And I wrote down this quote, which I thought was really pertinent to us today, that I'm just going to read verbatim. It says, "The idea that time is a limited, precious commodity to be used or misused, gained or lost, leading to advantage or ruined, proved equally important to both religious and secular thought." Secular means people who aren't priests or monks or within the church. They're just regular people who may be Christian, but they're just regular people. Metaphors and adages about spending and misspending time abound in medieval literature. So if you feel weighed down by the cult of productivity in 2024, just know that this has been happening for thousands of years. It is not just you. It's a nice thin little book. If you're interested in medieval time, I would recommend finding that in your library, unless, like me, you are a hoarder of beautiful, beautiful paper objects. Next up was A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. This is the second in the Monk and Robot series that Becky Chambers has written. It's also the last one so far. Chambers is not committed to writing any more, so you get what you're given. This one came out in 2022. Did I say? Oh, I'm so bad at remembering to do this. This one was 2023. I hold that there like you can read it. So, 2022 for A Prayer for the Crown Shy. This one follows directly on from the previous one, which was a psalm for the wild belt. And the titles here have meanings as well. Titles always have meanings, but the first one, the psalm for the wild belt are the robots that live in the wilderness of this planet, the crown shy. Crown shy refers to trees that grow up really tall, but the crowns of leaves don't touch each other in the canopy. So they're all individuals making up the forest. Ooh, metaphor. And this one follows sibling Dex, who is a tea monk. Their job is to travel around they cart a wagon around the human inhabited areas of the planets and run a tea service, which is a bit like therapy. You go up to the tea monk, you say your problems, the tea monk makes you a custom blend, you sit and drink it, you sit and contemplate or you chat, and then you leave having drunk your tea. This is socially acceptable to take time out of your day to do this, to take this time. Moscap is the robot that sibling Dex encounters when they decide that being a tea monk is not satisfying to them and they need to do something else and find some other meaning. So they go off into the wilderness and they meet Moscap, the robot. That is the entire plot of the first book. This one, Moscap has been elected by all the other robots to come to the human settlements and ask humans what they need. What do humans need? What do people need? So that's what this book explores, and ultimately they come to the conclusion they don't have to be in service of other people, which is the main theme of the first book as well. It's okay to take time to do something for yourself. It's okay to stop doing things in the service of other people if it is draining you. It's okay to take time for you. Very sweet book. The opening I really liked. I'm going to read that for you. The thing about fucking off to the woods is that unless you are a very particular, very rare sort of person, it does not take long to understand why people left said woods in the first place. That made me laugh for many reasons, one of which is that I work in a camping shop and the people who come in and they're excited to camp, they're not my people. Next, I have more Murderbot. I talked about Murderbot in the last episode as well. This is Martha Wells. Artificial Condition is the second Murderbot Diaries book. And in this episode, Murderbot, who is a security unit, who is like a hybrid robot-human, a cyborg, they have been kind of granted their freedom, and now the incident that caused them to call themselves Murderbot, Murderbot has decided they need to investigate and understand what happened, why they massacred a population of humans, and was it their fault? Because being a robot with a governor module controlling their actions and their moral compass, let's say, was it Murderbot's fault that they killed the humans, or was somebody controlling them? In this installment, we also meet another robot character called Art, A-R-T, who is a research transport vessel, and Murderbot names them Arsehole Research Transport. And they're arseholes together. It's quite lovely. Murderbot continually recognises, to their chagrin, that they actually kind of maybe like humans, and some humans they would willingly protect at the risk of their own life. It's just fantastic, and I would definitely read more Murderbot. This one came out in 2018. You'd think I'd remember the format. I've been doing it for a long time now, but no. The next one was on Kindle, and I don't have my Kindle with me because it's all the way upstairs. Who can be bothered walking that far? That is House of Open Wounds by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is the second in the, what is he calling it? Tyrant Philosophers series. It looks like there will only be two, but you never can tell with Tchaikovsky. He is a machine, and books just appear on publication lists out of nowhere. So this one follows on from the first one, City of Last Chances, and doesn't go where I wanted it to go. I wanted City of Last Chances to explore this mysterious woods that was in that book, that was a portal to another plane. And this one instead follows the first character of City of Last Chances, who is the last priest of a god. And the gods all diminish in size and stature and presentation as they're following decreases. And so Yasnik, who was a priest, the last priest of this god, he's not a priest anymore because of events in the first book. He has been captured by the Palatine Sway, which is the invading force in the first book. He's been captured by them, and to spare his life and to spare the god, he's joined their army. In the army, there's a hospital full of all these misfitty characters who technically should be eliminated, but they're useful to the army and the Palatine Sway, so they're given a position here in the hospital. So they're the underdogs. They form a ragtag family and events ensue. None of them really like each other very much, which makes it more fun in this found family narrative. Yeah, I've written here, there's a few more in this hospital group. There's a few more last priests of various gods. There's murderers and alchemists and necromancy. And together, they're in this army in this war. And if they work together, they might survive. But they might not. You never know with Tchaikovsky. This was released at the end of 2023. And if you liked the first one, you might like the second one. It goes in an entirely different way, but the storytelling is a similar vibe. Yeah, read the first one first, obviously. And finally, we've got a comfort reread, which I actually mainly listened to, but I have to show you this beautiful cover. It is The Lions of Al-Rassan by Gavriel. This came out in 1995, and I've read it so many times. I love it. It's technically a romance. Now, I will keep telling you, I will say to my dying breath that I do not like romance, but I don't like spice. But also I don't like a romance where the romance is the object. The romance here, it is the main theme, but it's not the only thing that's going on, and it's not going to ruin the story if the main characters don't end up in bed together. You know? Like Persuasion or Jane Austen, or The Curse of Talion is a romance and it's my favourite. So it turns out I do like romance, but I like romance that's not just sex or building up towards the sex. So with that out of the way, this is technically a romance. It's a love triangle. It's focused on a female doctor called Jahan. It's set in medieval Spain in Al-Andalus, which is Muslim-controlled Spain. As with most of Gavriel's work, it is very close to our historical reality, but he likes to put magical realism in his books, and things are a little bit different. So it is historical fiction for sure, but there is a bit of magic. Jahan is a doctor from the Kindath faith, which is an analogue of Judaism, and she has to flee the city that she lives in. And it is always when I think she'll be right with my battery that she was never right. Where were we up to? I was talking about Jahan meeting these two lions of Al-Rassan. One is Rodrigo Belmonte. He is from the northern Christian lands, and he is a powerful commander in the army. And the other is Amar ibn Khairan, who is basically the right-hand man of the Muslim king of their area. And the three of them, through circumstances, come together and form a friendship. Jahan likes both these guys like Jahan, but both these guys, they become essentially besties. They do have that masculine, platonic love and respect for each other. So, of course, because one's Muslim and one's Christian, at the end they have to fight to the death. But the world, the setting, the themes, as with all of the work by Gavriel, the themes are about the actions of an individual and the way that they impact the world and world history. It is about duty and power and love and regret and the choices that people make in their lives. And I love all of them. But this one, I don't know if this one's my favourite, but I definitely reread this one the most. It's a single volume. It's easy to consume. Like I said, it's a romance, but it's not obnoxious. Oh, man. And I just highly, highly love it. It's a 5-star read. Well, that got awkward at the end. I'm not good at talking about love, am I? That's my 5 reads. Please let me know what you have been reading because I'm keen to hear, and I will talk to you sometime soon. Bye.